George, I know you're there. Please pick up the phone. This isn't what you think.
Be quiet! There's nothing to talk about.
You don't understand. Just let me explain.
What exactly is it that I don't understand? I know exactly what I saw, and it wasn't a pretty sight. Besides, it's not hard to figure out what you were doing.
No. That man is just one of my business clients. We were in the middle of a meeting.
Oh, I see. So you were having an affair with one of your business clients in broad daylight. Right in the middle of the workday? Is that what you're saying? Do you really think that you can make up any excuses for what I saw? Oh, but that's right, you work in sales. So it's nothing new that you're out of the office during the day. I bet your colleagues would never suspect that anything was wrong. But it's pretty obvious what you've been up to. I bet you just made some excuse about going out for a sales meeting. Only to use our bedroom as the meeting place. An empty bed with no one at home. You thought that it would be the perfect place for you to get all hot and bothered with your so-called business client, or rather, your lover. But I guess you weren't expecting me to come home at that time, huh? I was surprised to find you at home in the middle of the day. But I bet you were much more surprised.
No. I can explain. We were really discussing business matters at a coffee shop. But he started to feel unwell in the middle of our meeting. And we weren't close to either of our offices. That's why I decided to bring him here. So he can rest. You know, that's all. You have to believe me.
No, I don't know. So why don't you explain the reason why you were also naked then? And in the same bed with him?
Well. Anyways, why don't you just come home first? I'm sure that we can clear everything up then. Let's both be calm and talk this over. Before we start making any assumptions. Okay?
Let me tell you something. I was already convinced that you were having an affair. Before I even opened the bedroom door, just so you know.
What do you mean?
You must have been very aroused. Because I was able to hear you. As soon as I walked in through the front door.
Oh my gosh. You're kidding, right?
Yeah, you should be embarrassed of yourself. Anyways, from there, it wasn't too hard to figure out what was going on. And I guess you're right, that perhaps I wasn't thinking clearly at the time. I mean, who in their right mind would actually go so far as to open the door in those circumstances? I pretty much walked in there, knowing that I wasn't going to like what I found. But as soon as you two realized I was there and started scrambling to cover yourselves up, it was like some switch just turned off inside of me. The entire scene was such a turn off. And I just automatically grabbed my phone so that I could record it as evidence. You should have seen your faces, like a deer in headlights.
I don't know what to say.
Anyways, I'm still not so sure if I'm thinking clearly yet or not. So I'm going to move out for a while until I can be sure. I definitely didn't expect to come home to your sexual rendezvous with a complete stranger. I'm sure that you can understand why I don't want to see your face or hear your voice right now.
What?
Oh, and by the way, I've already figured out the identity of your lover as well, since you conveniently left your clothes strewn all along the hallway. I was able to find one of his business cards in his jacket pocket. I'll be hanging onto it because I think it'll come in handy at some point.
Wait, hold on. Give me a moment to process this. You're going to come home once you've calmed down, though, right?
Sure, I guess you can say that.
Okay, fine. Then I suppose I can accept your decision to move out for the time being. But promise me that it's only a temporary arrangement.
We'll see, I'll be in touch.
You'll see that this was just a big misunderstanding. As soon as we're able to discuss what happened, you just need to give me the chance to tell you my side of the story as well. So promise me that you'll come back, okay?
Johnson, I apologize for reaching out at such a late hour. But there's something I need your help with. Both as a lawyer and as a friend.
George? What's happening? Is everything all right? Are you facing any legal issues?
It's not exactly a legal matter. But my wife has been having an affair. I'm not sure how long it has been going on. But I returned from my business trip earlier than expected today. I went to the office first. And my manager suggested I take the rest of the day off. So, I decided to head straight home to get some rest. But as fate would have it, my wife and her lover were there too, in our bed. You can probably imagine what they were doing. The moment I walked in, it was right in the middle of the act.
Oh, man. I'm really sorry to hear that. Were you able to gather any evidence?
Yes, I managed to record them together, unclothed, in bed. The video is on my phone. I also obtained the guy's business card, so I know who he is.
That's good. It's an unfortunate situation. But at least you have substantial evidence.
To be honest, I'm not sure if I'm thinking clearly right now. I haven't fully processed everything I witnessed. I feel a bit lost, to tell you the truth.
It's definitely not something you should handle alone. It's too much to take on by yourself.
You think so too, right? That's why I want to confront her with a lawyer present next time. Would you be willing to assist me?
Of course, count on me.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Hello, Nancy.
George. Is it really you? I've been eagerly awaiting your message. Are you finally prepared to return home? I want you to know that I've been preparing dinner for both of us every night, assuming you would have been back by now. But it's been over a week since you left.
I'm on my way there now.
Really? You're finally coming home. I'm thrilled that we can ultimately resolve this. I can't wait to see you.
Hey. What were you even thinking? Opening the front door dressed like that? And did you really think that I would fall for your sad puppy dog eyes? And now you've locked yourself in the bathroom. Because you realize that I didn't come here alone. What's wrong with you? I've been knocking on the bathroom door, telling you to come out. But you don't even answer. You can't keep ignoring me like this, you know. Stop acting like such a child and own up to your mistakes. I thought that we were going to talk about what happened the other day.
I know. But it's not fair. Isn't that your friend, Johnson? You never said anything about him coming here with you. Otherwise, I never would have opened the door wearing just lingerie.
Oh really? You have the nerve to have an affair and bring the guy into our bedroom. But you actually claim to have any sense of shame? That's just ridiculous.
What?
Well, on the other hand, all I could do was laugh in your face as soon as I opened the door. and found you dressed all provocatively like that. Did you really think that I was going to fall for that?
Well, you didn't have to laugh at me like that then. I was already more than embarrassed as it was.
Well, it was so obvious what you were trying to do. And I just couldn't get over your stupidity.
What do you mean?
You had no intention of having any discussion to begin with, right?
Huh?
I bet you were just planning to use your sexuality to entice me into the bedroom, so that we can have sex and make up, right? You thought that we can just mend our relationship like that? It's not that simple.
What? That's not, well.
Huh, so it looks like I was right.
Ugh. This isn't how it was supposed to be. Why did you have to ruin everything? Yes, you're right about me having an affair. But don't worry, I don't plan on divorcing you or anything. There. We're done having our discussion now, okay? You can just forget about what you saw. And let's put this behind us so that we can move on.
You're kidding, right? What do you mean that you're not planning on divorcing me?
Is it that hard to understand? I'm saying that I'll still be your wife. We can just go back to how things were before any of this happened.
What? Don't you even have any remorse about what you've done?
Why should I feel bad about anything? It's your fault that my boyfriend dumped me in the first place.
Oh, so you guys are no longer together, huh?
That's right. And he was such a jerk about it too. He blamed me that you found out about us. Because he had no idea that you would be home that day. He wants to make it seem like it's my fault that we had to break up. But I didn't know that you would be home either. And on top of everything, we were both fired from our jobs.
Both of you were fired, huh?
Why do you seem so indifferent about it? You know exactly why that happened. You were the one who revealed our relationship to our companies in the first place.
Oh yeah, that's right. I sent a claim to the HR department of both your companies. I told them I was concerned about their employee training and education policies. Especially since certain married employees think that it's acceptable to be engaged in sexual relations in the middle of the workday.
I've already lost my job, but if we also end up getting a divorce because of this, I won't have the means to support myself anymore. So that's why it should be your duty as my husband to support me from now on. Since I'm no longer going to have an income now thanks to you. You have to make sure that I can live comfortably.
Is that the reason why you don't want a divorce?
That's right. Well, I won't lie. The way things ended with my boyfriend left a bad taste in my mouth. But there's nothing that can be done about it now. And everything worked out in the end, so that's good, right? I mean, there's no reason for us to get divorced anymore. And that definitely works in your favor as well. You no longer have to risk losing your lovely wife. Because I know how much you love me. Anyways, since that's settled, you can have your friend go home now. I won't be able to come out of the bathroom until he leaves. So can you ask him right away?
Are you really that dense? Don't you realize why I asked Johnson to come with me in the first place?
What do you mean? Wasn't it because you were embarrassed about coming home by yourself? I know it was a bit awkward when you decided to leave. So you needed moral support from your friend, right? It's understandable. It was the first time we had such a serious fight since we got married. But don't worry, I don't blame you for bringing him along. I know he's a good friend of yours. And you probably needed him to encourage you to come home today.
Yes, he's a good friend, but Johnson is also a lawyer, just so you know.
A lawyer? But why?
I asked him to come with me today so that we can discuss our divorce.
What? Our divorce? Why do we need to get divorced?
Do you honestly think that we can just pretend this never happened? There have been so many contradictions in what you've been saying. I don't even know where to start. Don't you see anything wrong with what you're saying?
I don't understand.
Then let me be clear with you. You had an affair, and I want a divorce. Because you were unfaithful. There's no point in denying the facts.
But that doesn't make any sense either. I told you that my boyfriend and I already broke up. I'm not doing anything unfaithful right now. So I don't see any reason for a divorce anymore.
You're kidding, right? And I hope you're not under any misconception that I still have any feelings towards you, right?
What do you mean? Of course, you still love me. Isn't that why you asked me to marry you in the first place?
You're really hopeless. I loved you enough to want to spend the rest of my life with you. But that was because I was drawn to your kindness. And your genuine personality. As soon as you betrayed me with your infidelity, those feelings towards you completely disappeared. Did you honestly think that I would still love you the same way after what you've done?
What? Are you saying that you don't love me anymore?
That's right.
You're just joking, right? You were the one who was head over heels in love with me. And practically begged me to marry you. How can that change because of one small mistake I made? I guess your love for me wasn't as big a deal as you made it out to be.
Don't you get it? The way you betrayed me made any feelings I had towards you meaningless. Don't try to make it seem like you had no part in this. You really need to stop being so self-centered all the time. It's about time you start taking responsibility for your actions.
How dare you?
I didn't come here thinking that I would have to explain something so simple. I'm really starting to get a headache because of your inability to accept the truth.
Don't say that. You can't be serious about wanting a divorce.
Anyways, just come out of the bathroom already. I'll have Johnson wait in the living room so that you can change into something more presentable. Seriously, I've had enough of your stupid games already. Now you're going to lock yourself in the bedroom? What's wrong with you?
But you never said anything about my parents being here. You tricked me.
They arrived while you were holed up in the bathroom.
You invited them? But why?
Of course I asked them over. It's because of you that we're even in this situation to begin with.
But that doesn't mean you have to also involve my parents. There's no reason why they need to know what's going on.
Of course they need to know. Especially because you keep trying to deny the truth like that. We'll never get anywhere with this if it's left to your discretion. My parents should be arriving soon as well.
What? Why?
You keep saying how there's no reason for a divorce. Or that you'll let me stay married to you. Like you're doing me some kind of favor. But in reality, I want to get a divorce. And the sooner it's done, the better. I also realize that there's no point discussing this matter with you anymore, since you're too much in denial. and it would be just a waste of everyone's time. I'm ready to move forward with the divorce proceedings, but you keep hindering my efforts. That's why I asked both of our parents to be present for this discussion. Perhaps they would be of more help to me.
This can't be happening. But you should have said something about it beforehand. At least give me a heads up about what you were planning. This is too unexpected.
I purposely didn't say anything to you about it before today. Because if I did, even as a courtesy, you would have tried to avoid this situation as much as possible. Exactly like you're doing now. And you're acting like a really big coward, you know?
This is just crazy. Fine. Have it your way then. You want a divorce, right? I'll let you have your divorce. But only under certain conditions.
Conditions?
You have to pay me $50,000 in damages.
Huh? What are you talking about?
Those are the conditions if you want to get your divorce. Wait, you didn't think that it would be so easy, did you? I can't believe that you actually thought you would get away without paying. Do you have any idea what you're doing to me?
Of course I wasn't gonna pay you a single cent. What reason do I have for that anyways?
Oh, for heaven's sake. Let me explain then. You see, I lost my job. Because you decided to reveal my relationship with my boyfriend to my HR department. If you had kept your mouth shut, I would still have my job. Since I no longer have a stable income anymore. It has to be your duty to stay married to me so that you can support me. But you're just so adamant about getting a divorce. And won't even give me the chance to convince you otherwise. So what other choice do I have than to concede to your demands? And agree to this divorce?
Is that why you think that you have the right to claim damages from me?
Exactly.
You're really something, you know? I still can't believe how you can be so optimistic about everything. I don't know what kind of fantasy world you think you live in. But it's about time that you face the reality of this situation. You do realize that you're the underlying reason why we're even in this situation, right?
No. You're wrong.
Well, at least I can be certain that I made the right decision in asking Johnson to accompany me today. Perhaps you would be more inclined to listen to the reasoning of a professional lawyer.
Huh? What do you mean? Why do I have to listen to what your lawyer friend has to say?
You'll see why yourself. But first, are you finally dressed now?
Well, yeah, I mean. It was getting pretty cold just sitting in my underwear, so I'm fully dressed now. But what does that have to do with anything?
I was just asking as a courtesy. But I was planning on forcing my way into the bedroom regardless. So it doesn't really matter.
What? Wait, you can't do that. Besides, I locked the door from the inside. So you can't get in. But if you promise that you'll pay the amount that I said earlier, then maybe I'll consider unlocking this door.
You must be in quite a panic, since it seems like you've forgotten about an important detail. Remember that you can enter the bedroom through the walk-in closet as well?
Crap.
Right after that, we all rushed into the bedroom through the walk-in closet, forming a circle around Nancy to prevent her from escaping. Despite putting up quite a resistance, it seemed she eventually realized that there was no way to avoid the impending discussion any longer. Although reluctant, she managed to remain composed, allowing us to finally address the matter at hand. It was at this point that Johnson stepped in to take charge. Once he had her sign the divorce agreement, he delved into the settlement details. The truth is, I suppose I never fully trusted her, given that she had jokingly included a clause in our marriage contract, stating that the guilty party forfeits any claims to our marital assets in case of infidelity. Though neither of us had taken it seriously at the time, Johnson had made sure it held legal weight, and the subsequent screaming and crying from Nancy when she fully grasped the implications were haunting, resonating with me for days. Despite her desperation, there was nothing she could do. And that marked the last day I saw her. The finalization of everything proceeded smoothly, and I treated Johnson to drinks as a gesture of gratitude. I wouldn't wish this kind of nightmare on my worst enemy. Surround yourself with intelligent friends.
Hey, Sandra. A little birdie told me that you were going on a trip. Where are you planning to go? Come on, tell me.
Good evening, Peggy. Did you hear about it from some of the other women at the kids' bus stop? Gossip tends to spread while we're waiting for them to arrive.
Yes, that's right.
Of course, you would hear about it.
Come on, there's no need for that sulky attitude. So, you're going with Pamela and Ophelia, right?
Well, yes, sort of.
Then you just have to let me come along too.
I'm sorry?
I've always wanted to go on a trip with some of the other moms. I've been hoping to do something like that for ages now.
Look, I don't really know how to put this gently, but we didn't invite you. Sorry.
What do you mean?
Look, we've already planned everything out for our whole group.
What? It wouldn't be that hard to add one more person to the trip, would it?
I'm really sorry, but it actually would. All of our reservations have already been made with our specific group, and we can't just add people on a whim. I'm sorry, but you just can't come.
Really?
Look, this isn't meant to be some fun group outing to begin with.
So you're saying to just let it go, then?
When we actually are just doing something for fun, I'll invite you, I promise. Could you please just stop asking about it?
Oh, come on. I'm part of the group too, aren't I? Why do I have to be excluded from this? Do you really think I'd just be fine with being left out of the loop? And then being told to shut up when I finally find out?
No, like I said, this isn't a trip we're going on for fun. So we're not trying to exclude you from anything.
Well, if you aren't trying to exclude me, then you should have no problem with letting me come along.
I don't, seriously, what are you talking about? Have you not understood a word I've said?
Once you've got the date and details hammered out, be sure to let me know, okay? And since I'll be coming along, you can just leave the details of the trip to me. It'll be my treat.
No, I told you before, we've basically planned everything out already.
Nope, that just won't do at all. Well then, it's decided. This will be a fun trip for all the local moms, and I'll take charge of everything.
You really haven't paid any attention at all, have you? I've already said that this isn't some trip we're doing for fun.
You can handle all of the other work, right?
Right, I'll leave that other stuff to you. What are you even saying anymore? Do you really think I would agree to something so utterly vague?
Do you really think it's okay to be talking to me like that?
And what of it? It's not like you've been listening to a thing I say anyway.
Well, I know that your husband and mine both work at the same company. But your husband is my husband's subordinate, right?
Oh, is that so? I'm afraid I just don't remember.
What? You mean you didn't know?
I mean, whether I knew or not doesn't really matter, so.
Right. Well, you know now, and that's what matters. If you try to stab me in the back about this, I'll be sure to say something to my husband about it.
I'm sorry, what?
Well, I'll be leaving all of the preparations to you.
Are you seriously just only hearing what you want to hear?
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it.
Hold on, Peggy. I hope you realize I haven't agreed to any of this.
Hey, Sandra, do you have a moment?
Sure, I'm free right now. What's up?
Well, I wanted to apologize.
Apologize? About what?
It's about Peggy. I just had a call with her. And she was really angry. She shouted at me for a while, actually. It seems like my son John told her son about our trip. The day we were leaving, the bed and breakfast, everything.
Oh no.
Apparently, her son took one of John's favorite toys and gave him an ultimatum. Either John tells him everything about the trip, or he would break the toy and throw out the pieces. That's what John said, anyway.
I can't believe this. I can't believe Peggy would involve her son in this scheme. Having him threaten to break another kid's toy? What's wrong with her? Well, it's likely that Sandra put her son up to it. I don't see why he would have asked for that info otherwise. Is John okay?
Yes, he's fine now. Peggy's son kept his word and returned the toy, thankfully. I agree though, Peggy is likely the one who made her son do it. I feel like I've heard similar stories in the past too.
Honestly, what on earth does she think she's doing? Making her son do these things? Does she think he's her personal thug or something? I feel bad for him. I hope he doesn't end up with all the kids hating him, or worse. That he actually starts wanting to pick on other kids for fun.
Yeah, I don't think Peggy even cares what her son thinks about the whole thing. Let alone what this is doing to him. Anyway, I'm sorry that the plans got leaked.
No, don't worry about it. There's nothing for you to apologize for. But we definitely have a problem now.
Yeah, I know. That woman has always been trouble. She just thinks she can invite herself along on whatever excursion someone else is going on. I heard that a while ago a local family was planning a trip. And she just invited herself along, trying to change their plans to center around her. It was a mess.
No way. Are you serious?
That's not all, actually. Apparently, the day of the trip, the dad of the family caught a fever. So the trip got cancelled entirely. Not knowing that, Peggy and her family just went to the intended trip destination anyway. When she learned that the hotel reservations were cancelled, she flew into a rage. She completely went off at the poor family about how they tricked her, and that they should pay for her wasted gas, and other such things.
Ugh, that's utterly deplorable.
Well, she seems to be up to her pig-headed ways again with us. I've got a feeling this is just a strategy of hers to get free trips out of people. Invite herself along, then demand compensation for being tricked or something.
Seriously? Well, I guess I wouldn't put it past her. Her husband seems about as dramatic as she is too. So I think it's safe to assume that the whole family might try to come along with us.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, I've got an idea. Let's get in touch with Ophelia and see if we can think up some countermeasures so she doesn't ruin the trip.
Sounds good to me. I'm in. Sorry about all of this. This really turned into a much bigger deal than I had expected.
Again, you don't need to apologize. First, you're not in the wrong here, Peggy is. Second, this all started when I brought it up to you. And Ophelia at the bus stop, anyway. Okay, I'm going to text Ophelia. And let's see if we can meet up and plan things out.
Roger. Hey, Sandra? I need to inform you about an update.
What is it?
The meeting time for tomorrow has been changed.
Tomorrow?
Yes, we had initially planned to depart at 7. But it's now rescheduled to 9.
I apologize. But I don't recall discussing this change earlier.
That's all I needed to let you know. See you tomorrow. Hey, Sandra. Why didn't you come meet up with us?
Good morning, Peggy. What are you talking about?
I told you already. We were planning to meet up at 7, remember? Don't tell me you aren't coming simply because you mistook the time. And not just you, Pamela and Ophelia didn't arrive either. Well, I certainly wasn't going to go on a trip on my own. So I invited some family along. It's fine, you don't need to try to find some other way here.
Ah, yes, I see.
It wasn't easy getting all of our transportation lined up, I hope you know. I'll be expecting you to pay for the gas and other fees, do you understand me?
Well, if I'm understanding things correctly. You're the one who told us the meeting time was at 9, right?
Well, sometime after that, the time got changed again. How strange. I was so sure I had called you about that. Well, it's your fault that you didn't come on time, not mine. My family and I will happily enjoy this trip without you, okay?
Bye. Bye.
Sandra, please answer the phone. I know you're there. Answer me. Don't you dare ignore me.
What is it now, Peggy?
We arrived at the bed and breakfast and were going to check in. Only to be told that the party with the reservation had checked in already. What are you thinking, trying to steal our vacation from us? If you're already here, then hurry up and get out.
Sorry, we're out sightseeing at the moment. So it would be pretty difficult to do that, even if we wanted to.
Excuse me.
By the way, what are you even talking about? You accused me of trying to steal your vacation? Did you forget that's exactly what you were trying to do to us in the first place?
What are you talking about? It's your fault that you didn't arrive at the time we agreed on.
Well, considering we never agreed on anything in the first place. I'd say that's not much of an argument, but that's not even the issue here. I'm talking about what you've been trying to do from the very beginning. Not just your scheming yesterday to screw us over. I had never invited you on the trip to begin with. I actually flat out refused your selfish request to join in. Or did you somehow forget?
But that's not how it ended up. I ended up being a part of the trip.
That's not how group planning works, Peggy. You can't just say you're coming on a trip without being invited. And then start trying to push everyone around. All you did was try to force us to do what you wanted and follow your plans.
You're the one at fault for excluding me. So, to punish you for your impoliteness, we are going to have you pay for our lodgings.
So, let me get this straight. Are you intending to stay overnight at my parents' house or something?
I'm sorry. What do you mean by that?
Oh, that's right, I forgot. You never actually pay attention to anything I say. Would it be easier if I wrote it in all caps for you? Are you intending to stay at my parents' house? What makes you think you would be allowed to stay?
I can read what you write normally. Stop that. Still, what do you mean, your parents' house?
The bed and breakfast you're trying to check in at? Do you notice how it looks more like a big house, not some high-rise hotel? That's because it is first and foremost a house. My parents' house, to be exact. With all the websites for people who want to turn their homes into B&Bs popping up, my parents decided they'd do the same. With the location as good as it is, it's gotten pretty popular, too. My parents manage the whole thing.
What?
And on top of that, this trip isn't just some leisure trip for local moms. As I've told you a number of times already.
Don't try to pass it off as something else. Pamela and Ophelia came with you, didn't they? What makes this trip so different? You even said you were sightseeing. Any way you look at it, this is just a fun trip between friends, a trip you wanted to exclude me from.
If you're still thinking that, then you should actually pay some attention for once in your life. And actually let me finish explaining. Pamela is my husband's cousin. Ophelia is my husband's sister. Does that give you a hint as to who this trip is for? Or are you just going to ignore it like you ignored everything else?
You're all related.
Yes. This trip is because my husband's grandpa is turning 80. He wanted to make it a special occasion, so he invited all of our relatives. That's why our bed and breakfast is completely booked until tomorrow. It's family only, and all of the rooms were filled in advance. You couldn't even hope to make reservations yourself. And you certainly wouldn't be able to just walk in and get a room.
You're serious? That's what this was all about.
That's why I told you from the start that you weren't invited. I told you to stop asking about it. But of course, you didn't listen to me, so here we are.
Well, if it's your family, then get them to open up a room for us.
No. Even if I inexplicably forgot about everything and suddenly wanted you to come along, it would be impossible. This is why I refused your request from the beginning. You're the one who just kept stubbornly forcing yourself into the planning. This is all on you.
Do you really think it's fine to be saying things like that to me? How dare you?
Oh, and here we go with this again.
I told you before, my husband is your husband's boss. Or did you forget? It would be such a tragedy if your husband found himself first in line to be laid off. Don't you think?
What is wrong with you? Why would you even threaten something like that?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just reminding you that the world is governed by survival of the fittest, that's all.
I see what you're getting at. Well, let me reply to you using that line of thinking. And maybe you'll actually understand.
Okay, I'll humor you. What sort of snippy remark do you have for me?
My husband's grandfather. He's the chairman of the board of directors of your husband's company. Did you know that?
What? He is?
Oh, and incidentally, the president of the company? That's my husband's father.
Are you serious? They're the chairman of the board and the president of the company? You're just trying to scare me, right? You're not actually telling the truth here, right?
I wonder. Well, they're both here at this family gathering too, obviously. They're also looking at this conversation we're having, too.
No. You're lying. No. No way. You can't.
You never really know the social standing of everyone around you just at a glance, do you? I think you might do better if you didn't try to swing your husband's influence around like a club to try to get what you want. You never know when they might swing back harder.
So you're saying it's all true? The highest people in my husband's company are your in-laws?
Well, we need to get going to the next spot on our trip, so I'm heading off.
Please, wait. I'm begging you, we're in hot water over here. Our relatives are all criticizing my husband and me, asking what's going on and what's going to happen to them. They say they're going to disown us. No, wait, they're already leaving. Isn't there something you can do?
I don't think so. That sounds like a family problem. And I'm not about to force myself into family matters like some other person I know. I certainly wouldn't go putting my neck on the line for someone who uses her family as weapons to get what she wants.
Weapons? What are you talking about?
Oh, before I forget, before we get back to the house, please be sure to vacate the premises. Or else we might need to call the police, okay? So, I'm just going to put this out there first, but I may have mentioned how my in-laws have influential positions in the company. But that doesn't mean they intended to use their influence against Peggy's husband. The next day, they simply called him in to caution him about his wife's behavior. They also informed him that any unfounded attempts to discredit his subordinates would not be tolerated. Just to be on the safe side. Although her husband wasn't directly punished for her actions, the plan did succeed in changing Peggy's behavior. Ever since that day, she has been much quieter and refrained from interfering in others' affairs. As for her husband, while he was let off the hook, the incident seemed to hurt his pride so much that he didn't come into work for days. In addition, it was discovered that he had violated company policy multiple times, resulting in his demotion and a significant pay cut. Things spiraled downward from there, eventually leading to his termination from the company. As a consequence, he and Peggy got into a major fight at home, and they eventually got divorced. I can't say I had any insight into their household, considering everything that happened. But, at least for us, things have finally quieted down for the first time in a long time.